Okay, the situation is that the participation here physically is going to be a bit dynamic, right? Because people are engaged in different courses, the students, and we have two conferences actually running in parallel in Jerusalem and in Tel Aviv at the same moment. It's always troubling in May. But I want to first congratulate you all for joining us and welcoming you. My name is Jonathan Nathanian, assistant professor and head of the Environmental Performance and Design Laboratory, which is actually hosting this event at the Faculty of Architecture and Town Planning at Technion. I'm joined here by Naga Manapragada and Ilam Sklar, who organized this conference with me, and you will be seeing them along together with me here. And we're truly glad we actually managed to pull this event off, despite the challenging times we are all facing. We're happy to welcome all of you both here and online. Probably people will be joining. We have more than 100 people registered online. And we are expecting also people to join us later coming from the other conference in Tel Aviv after lunch. So we are going to be a bit more, I guess. First, I want to extend a special welcome to our international guests, Zhongming, Bike, and Jakob. We are honored to have you with us. I'll begin with a brief framing presentation to set the stage for this day. So a bit about the environmental and urban challenges we are facing. The environmental call for action will likely echo throughout this event in today's presentations. We are all quite aware of the business as usual scenario, so I will spare you the graphs, okay? But there's still a critical gap between how urban compactness is often greenwashed and the troubling truth of microclimatic consequences it produces, combined with rapid urbanization, urban change, like climate change and rising urban heat. Our cities are more likely to look like that. And those eggs cooking in the public planchas, those eggs are real. And, this is a pressing challenge. When we think about unprecedented urbanization rates, it becomes clear that this is the sort of stuff that should keep us up at night, okay? So the way we are responding to that with architecture and design buildings in response to the climate has evolved from designing out of necessity with the local materials passively to rethink how we are now fully reliant on mechanical systems. That's the other phase, to rethink how we can integrate climate into the design. We're moving forward to symbiosis between humans and intelligent systems. But meanwhile, also standards have been responding to that. And they're shifting from efficiency to generation, zero energy, to automation, and how now to regenerative design. But we rarely talk about the trade-offs between these goals, right? And the complexity of quantifying and balance these criteria remains mostly unexplored. And a core challenge, as far as I see it, computation. Computation is changing everything. And perhaps it holds the power, also it holds the answer, I think. But we're in the midst of the fourth industrial revolution, where pipelines and workflows transmit environmental data and dashboards, help us make responsive real-time decisions. But overloaded pipelines, overuse of indicators and black box tools can also easily become part of the problem, as far as I see it. And sometimes, you all see metrics, right? When we hook this thing in the back of our heads and then we know something. So unfortunately, it feels like sustainable design education is being sometimes reduced to like a 3-day boot camp, right? But when I'm Morpheus, I want you to show me, and we need to ask important questions, and pair those tools with the right theoretical framework to ask better questions. And this post by Mustafa, like the developer of Ladybug tools, can deliver, I think resonates with me, because it says the same thing. I'm sick of just looking at this kind of twisted towers with this false color imagery and saying, okay, we have it all figured. We need to ask questions and have this theoretical background. Now, let's shift to where we are now, the local context. Israel used to be in the forefront of environmental technology with solar thermal collectors since the 60s on every rooftop, but without an integration or integrated urban approach. It doesn't matter how green these buildings may seem or be, and if we are missing the tools can deliver such insights at scale. And I think in Israel, like in many other places, we are waking up from the dream of the tower in the tower in the park in practice, and it became an urban nightmare in a way, where uniform unurban tower districts are popping up across the country with the typological decision-making done on autopilot, where once it was like the core of the architectural joy. So I'm really looking forward to bring that joy into the practice again. And consider Israel complex typological mosaic, which is really unique. We have mosaics everywhere inside urban cities, but in urban settlements, but like this factor, when you think about the fact that Israel has to double its built environment in the next 30 years, and it will become, like in 10 years, the most heavily dense populated OECD country and fourth in the world. When we take this into account, layer onto that the zero carbon obligation we have by 2050 and the growing awareness of climate and sustainability changes, this exposes a major gap that we are sensing here between our current practices and the ambition we need, especially when we're choosing the next typology, when we ask ourselves, what's next? What's the next piece of the puzzle? And that's where our lab, and really all of you also, not just me, I think it's a common effort as thinkers, researchers, and practitioners, where we are all coming in. So today's event is packed, and we will dive into the interlink between environmental and urban challenges, which are demanding immediate action. We'll hear about new technologies, new methods, tools, generating a new kind of intelligence that may help us face these challenges. And as I said, it's a collective effort. And I see here wonderful diversity of city planners, architects, policymakers, students, researchers, both here and across the world. I think we have participants representing a lot of different places. And this is exactly, by the way, how I imagine this kind of framework. And this is not the first time it's running. So this is the second event. The first event was in 2022. And the idea behind it is simple: to create a global framework to discuss and showcase innovation in urban environmental intelligence to help us bridge that gap. And this is, as I said, the second episode in an evolving series that, of course, I wanted to continue. So what is on this day? We're structured the day into 3 thematic sessions, each featuring talks by international keynotes alongside 1 or 2 local experts, followed by a roundtable of discussion that brings everything together. The first session is moderated by Naga Manapragada. We focus on the environmental aspects of urban environmental intelligence. We'll begin with a keynote by Dr. Jungmin Shi, followed by a talk from myself, and then move into a panel discussion including Jungmin, myself, and Shalita, Professor Abraham Yisrael. After a light lunch, which will be served here, there will be food all the time here, by the way, so you won't be hungry. We will have the second session, which expands the scope to advanced computation. and will be moderated by Lance Clark. This session features a keynote by Professor Bige Tuncer, followed by two insightful talks by Professor Yasha Grobman and Professor Guy Oster. The panel discussion will bring together Bige, Yasha, and Guy, joined by local experts Anat Dalmo, Roy Sifovo, and Duffy Fisher-Grisman, Professor Duffy Fisher-Grisman. Thank you for joining. Later this day, I will moderate our Pachacucha session, where 6 emerging researchers will rapidly present their current work. In this unique format, we leave the commentary to our distinguished guests, 5 minutes each. And we are expecting to see this kind of portfolio, fast portfolio. Finally, we will move into the third session, final session, when we focus on the implementation and the practical application of urban environmental intelligence. We'll hear keynote from Dr. Jakob Stroman Andersen, followed by a talk from Professor Or Alexandrovich. The session will conclude with a roundtable discussion featuring Jakob Or, joined by Rafi Reish and Galit Shif. So we will wrap the day with a final round of reflections. And we truly hope to have you with us throughout the day, towards the end of it. I know it's going to be a long day. I just want to mention the generous support of the Azrieli Fund for Advanced Studies and our faculty's Center of Architectural Research and Development, led by Duffy, for the support of this event. This is really highly appreciated. And I think we can place, on behalf of, we can place this, not by chance, our speakers can be placed on this triangle of knowledge. I first encountered this triangle of knowledge on environmental design at the AA by Professor Simos Llanas. And this is an effective, this is an approach that says that an effective environmental design must integrate these three. So we need to have environmental performance evaluations and tools, but it should be backed up by theoretical knowledge and theoretical framework, and we need to look at the real world, right? To learn from buildings, practical, real world application. And we really hope that this event, this was our intention when we designed this event, to reflect this balance between these three aspects, which I think are critical in order to perform and to undergo an effective urban environmental intelligence design workflow. So on behalf of our lab, thank you again for being here. We hope you enjoy the day. And for those online, feel free to ask questions via the chat. You are auditing and muted, but your sound can be heard if you ask questions during the chat. Thank you so much. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. So for the first session, I would like to call Naga Manapragada. He's a PhD candidate at our lab. Nobody presents the moderator, so I will present you. Coming from Hyderabad, he's doing a PhD at our lab. He's doing a great work that could be heard on the Pachacucha, and I invite you. He's integrating machine learning. He's coming from Hyderabad with a very strong computational orientation and machine learning knowledge, and he's integrating it into microclimatic analysis. Naga, welcome.
Before I introduce the speaker for today's session, I would like to take some time to transfer the presentations.